The NFL season is here, and the Lockdown Defense Sports Network welcomes you to another NFL season. We are here to give you a front row seat to the pulse of the NFL. Join us every Tuesday night as we break down the latest news, dissect the hottest headlines, and fire off fearless predictions that might shape the future of the league. From the locker room drama to game-changing plays, we're just not watching football, we're living it. As the entire hit squad with young RG Robert Garcia, Coach Mike Dub, the real AG Alex Givens, and yours truly, Coach Defense, joins forces with the NFL Nation Live crew, Ref Guru, Violator, and the Saudi pirate himself, Captain Jack Rackham. So buckle up, because this isn't your average recap. This is the Lockdown Blitz, where the takes are bold, the insights are gritty, and the passion runs deep. Let's go. To all my heavy hitters and lockdown defenders, welcome to the Lockdown Blitz. Joining me today, as always, this squad, young RG Robert Garcia, Coach Mike Dub, and the NFL Nation Live crew, Violator, the man, the myth, the legend himself, and Captain Jack Rackham. Gentlemen, what's happening? Indeed, indeed, indeed. The Super Bowl is set. And an unlikely tribe of teams is in the last dance here to say. I don't think we had in this pick. I mean, this has been a year, though. Let's just be honest. We don't know anything for the majority of the year, and we still don't know anything when it comes to predicting the Super Bowl, because nobody had on their bingo card the Seahawks, or the Sea Chickens, as people are calling them nowadays. I found funny. And the Patriots, of all people, coming to the Super Bowl and facing off in a remix version of the Russell Wilson Tom Brady Super Bowl, where your boy Malcolm Butler made his money and cashed in big to get the Patriots there. I think that was their fifth Super Bowl at the time. So yeah, it's interesting times, ladies and gentlemen. But let's go around the room. Let's do a quick check in. Young RG, good brother, how you feeling out there? What's going on?
Feeling pretty good, man. Feeling pretty good. We obviously finally got the official signing of Mike McDaniel. So very happy about that.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Things are looking up in Charger land for sure. For sure. Definitely. Coach Mike Dub, good brother. How you feeling out there? What's going on over there outside of being cold like me?
That's about it, man. Just fighting the ice. And other than that, it's been a pretty quiet week in Commander Land. So, just sitting back, getting ready for Super Bowl weekend.
For sure. Violator, good sir. How you feeling out there? You doing it a complete flip of what we're doing. You over there trying to dodge the heat. What's going on over there?
Hey, man. Life in SoCal, man. It's beautiful. But doing great. Watched some great football. And like you say, we did not see this matchup coming. Most of us. I couldn't have pulled that out of a hat. But It is reminiscent of a previous Super Bowl. And my hot take is, will they pass on 4th and 1
instead of running the ball?
Or they run. So I'm hoping that scenario kind of repeats itself. So that's
interesting.
What I'm looking forward to, man. Other than that, ready to rock and roll today. Let's get it.
My vote is to hand it to Kenneth Walker. That's my vote. Hand it to Kenneth Walker. That's your new age beast mode. Yes, hand it to him.
That's it.
Absolutely. Captain Jack Rackham, good sir. How you feeling out there? We missed you last week. What's going on out there in Florida?
Yeah, I had a for those that don't know, because the crew does know, is that I had an internet outage last week, but I also had an internet outage the other day. And since I was in Texas, the lady that's in this house couldn't figure out how to get the Wi-Fi back. So I had to do that when I came home last night. So we were without the the security, the alarm, and all that other stuff. It's like I don't want to get into it, but I'm here, and the good thing is being out with Texas for the weekend. I was out with the great Ira Matthews and Lester Hayes. So
nice.
got a nice little shot of that. I'm thinking about retiring this hat, but it's too damn pretty, just like me. So I might have to keep wearing it for a little while. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
That signature on it, might well put that in the case.
Well, I got the one with Phil in the case, so I got 2 hats that are over, with signatures. I'll make a little. I got stuff. I mean, it's not like I don't have shit around the house, right?
Yeah, true. A little bit. You got a couple of things around there. Look, a few trinkets.
Just a little.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad for a Raiders fan. Little shine, little bling over there. Not much to write home about.
I was gonna say, talking about bling as a Chargers fan. Come on now.
Oh, come on now.
Low blow. We're not even 10 minutes into the show yet.
I didn't say anything. It was given to me on a silver platter. Another thing you guys have not had a while, silver platter.
Another thing that I'm complimenting your Raiders attire and you taking shots at me. See how you do? See how you do?
I'm
edition right here.
You are correct. You are correct. I hear what? Whoop, I take it back.
Sure. Yeah. Right. All right. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to brass tacks. Appreciate everybody that's coming through today and in the chat. Drop your comments and questions as we go along. We'll try to get to them as quickly as possible. Cool, Cav. Good, sir. What's happening out there? I see you. So let's get to it, man. Let's talk about some coaching changes. There's a lot of buzz going around here, for sure. We got to get to some things here. Trying to get through the chat here real quick. Yeah, man. So let's do some headlines. Let's talk about it. So the coaching and hiring cycle has definitely been buzzing. We're gonna do our take on it. Let's do our first segment called
Hit Squad Headlines.
All right. So we will get right to it. So let's talk some headlines here. And oops, wrong one. There we go. So the coaching cycle has been rampant and raving. It was 10 openings to start the cycle off before I think the first person got hired, but we're gonna get into it. So we're gonna go around the room real quick. A couple of analysts here have some things to say in regards to the coaching hires, how they feel about it. So the hot topics on the hot coaching hires that's gone through in the past week, on top of Joe Brady being hired today. Jesse Miller went to the Ravens. Mike McCarthy went to the Steelers. Jeff Hafley went to the Dolphins, and Robert Saleh went to the Titans. Some things you can kind of predict, some things you can't. I would argue that 2 out of the 4 you probably didn't. You could predict them 2 out of the 4 you didn't. But yeah, so let's start with Dub. Let's talk about Jesse Miller and the Ravens. How do you feel about that hire? And what do you think that's going to do for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens going forward?
First and foremost, I love the hire just out the gate. If you know any Ravens fans, or if you're tapped into kind of the Ravens community, they were looking for a fresh voice. So I'm glad that they went actually the opposite of their rivals in Pittsburgh, where I'm sure we'll get to that as well. But they went the older route, the more proven guy. Baltimore went with the new hot voice, or the new hot coach on the market right now. He's had a meteoric rise from the college game to a few years here, but of course everybody's been kind of on his line trying to get them there. He was a hot topic as a commodity, so the Ravens definitely nabbed a good one there. Really, his success is going to depend on their coordinators. Of course, being a young coach, you're going to have some type of veteran presence, not only in the locker room, but also in the coaches' offices, and when it comes to the X's and O's and schemes and things like that. So, he's really just going to be as successful as his coordinators are, specifically on the offensive side of the ball. Of course, they have some things to tighten up on the defensive side as well. But I love the hire. I think it's a fresh new energy in the building. I think the fan base is excited. The team has a new energy geared towards it. And, I think they have a chance to be really successful. So I love the hire. I love the fit. I think it's a good match.
I like it. Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. I'm gonna share my own sentiments in that space. I kind of predicted that the Ravens or the Steelers job, and I think then because he was such a high commodity, like you said, he can kind of do it at Ben Johnson, take the Ben Johnson route and say that I can ultimately pick the job I really want. And picking a pillar of stability organization like the Ravens or the Steelers, for that matter, they give you a long runway. They don't have impatience with you and things of that space. I think that was a great move for him because that allowed him to grow, because this is his first time out as being a head coach. So that is definitely something that you need to have, is some trust and some leeway to kind of figure it out and get things right and get things going. So so I definitely believe that that's definitely a good hire for them. Again, defensive minded coach. He's definitely been a very promising and very productive for the Chargers. We can get into the idea of them wasting their time with him because they couldn't get the offense right. But he definitely he turned defense around, overnight, quite frankly, because, they were one of the top scoring offenses or defenses, I should say, in the league with his 2 years there. So, yeah, nothing but good things to say about Jesse, and I wish him well. It sucks for us to lose him, but with a guy that's with such talent, if he wants to be a head coach at some point, hell, you can't deny the man his progress, right? So you can't hold on to someone for so long. So kudos to him. Yeah.
And I really hope that they, of course, Baltimore is a defensive city. When it comes to that identity of that team in the past, they've always been a good defensive team. It was kind of strange to see them giving up as many points as they did. So, not surprised to see them go that route with a head coach, another defensive or a defensive minded head coach. I think that's the first line of fixing the ship right now is getting that together. And then, of course, on the other side, making sure that, Lamar can come through and has everything he needs to stay healthy, first of all, but then, of course, take it to the next level. So I like the fit.
Yeah. I'm curious. I'm hearing rumblings about them hiring Kingsbury as their OC. I think that'll be a slam dunk as well. So I think they need to go ahead and do that. But yeah, for sure. But you're right. I definitely agree with you. It really hinges on their OC. What is my old saying? If you are a defensive minded head coach, you got to have a rock star OC. Now, to Cap's point, you might not hold on to him for long, so you might want to have 2 or 3 in your Rolodex. But if you want to win games, early and often, you need to have a good OC if you're a defensive minded head coach. So definitely got to figure that out and get somebody that Lamar is going to vibe with.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the key right there, is the locker room, and that's probably why I love this pick so much, is because it felt like they're in tune with what the players wanted and what the majority of the Ravens community wanted. So a part of just being successful is having the energy and having people on kind of on that side. So we've heard talks about Lamar having a say in who they wanted as the coach, and I'm sure he'll probably have some type of voice. Of course, not all the power, but he'll have some type of voice in the offensive coordinator as well, which will go a long way to having the locker room on your side. So all power to him.
Indeed. Any more commentary about Minter before we move on to the next coaching hire?
Yeah, echoing that, we wasted his time here because, goddamn, man, he's going to be a hell of a coach for the Ravens.
Yeah, it really is. Again, it was so I was hoping against hope that we could form a legit dream team with him staying one more year with having Mike McDaniel, but it didn't pan out. But and then we lost Jonathan Gannon to the Packers, so we got to go deep dive and define a replacement. And it's going to be some big shoes to fill, in all honesty, for LA. The offense will be better, but we can't have the defense completely fall apart and be a Jesse Minter style, not Jesse Minter, but Brandon Staley style defense forward, because we don't want to have to win shootouts every week. We'll see how things roll. But yeah, so I'll be able to kudos to Jesse, wish him the best, and hopefully he won't get in our way.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Okay.
You know those games are going to be circled now. You already know that.
Oh, absolutely. They already were when there was the brothers.
Right, exactly. So you just it's heir apparent, I guess these young Padawan in Star Wars terms is now going to be facing them all, on a regular basis in the AFC. So yes, definitely looking forward to that, or maybe not. Just depends on how it goes. For sure. Okay. All right, so let's talk about Miami now. Let's move over to Jeff Hafley. He had a very interesting press conference, and he turned a lot of heads in regards to his demeanor and his I guess you could say his serious attitude when it came down to him being the new head coach of Miami. So, all right, RG, tell me what you think about Jeff Hafley and the hire in Miami. Do you think it's a good fit? Do you think it's going to work? What do you think about that particular hire?
I think it's a decent replacement for Mike McDaniel. I think I like the shift from an offensive-minded head coach to a defensive-minded head coach. I think, you can get a good enough OC. The Dolphins are in it's such a weird state that their team is in currently, because the starting quarterback who's getting paid a boatload of money isn't the starting quarterback anymore. You have really no idea what Quinn Ewers is going to be. If anything, you're not drafting high enough, and this isn't already a highly touted QB draft either way. It pretty much is going to be Mendoza and as the quote unquote surefire pick, and that's pretty much it. So I think this is a good hire to kind of right the ship, and if they truly do decide to stick with him, because I feel like the Dolphins are facing a rebuild. I think that's pretty certain. I don't know what's going to happen with Tua, if they're just going to straight up cut him, if they're going to try to find a trade partner for him, although you would probably have to give picks along with Tua to trade him, just because other teams are not going to want to take on that massive contract, without a little bit of compensation. So we'll see what happens in that regard, but I think this is a solid hire for them to just kind of regroup, right the ship, maybe get that defense, up and running and be able to compete at least somewhat in your division. It is a brutal division you're in with the Bills, with the Patriots. Obviously the Jets are a little bit of a pushover, and they are the Jets, but for the most part, you've been in that third, peaked at second in the division. So there really hasn't been much winning there with McDaniel. So maybe Hafley can just kind of get the boys, change the mindset, start winning some games in different manners, and we'll see what happens. But this was the one coaching hire, not that I was confused about, but maybe I just asked a lot of questions when it broke news. So I thought maybe they'd go Robert Saleh. Obviously he goes to Tennessee. But yeah, this was their pivot. They were just dead set on getting a defensive minded head coach. And so with Saleh gone, you go to the next best option.
Yeah, I think this can go one or two ways. Well, I think it can go one way or the other. I think there's no really middle ground here. I think it's going to be a really sneaky good hire because, people aren't really understanding exactly how good of a coach he is. He was really good as a defensive coordinator for the Packers. Not taking that away from him at all. I think he was really good in that space. But you always have to ask the question whether or not a coordinator can ascend to the idea of being the CEO of a team, and being the proverbial leader. So you have to ask that question. I think he, checked some boxes in that space about his press conference, because he definitely gave a very stoic and presidential-like address when it came down to his ability to deliver his message in his opening press conference, right? But you still got to see it on the field. Right. And he is up against it, like you said. I think that Miami is dealing with a serious rebuild. The Tua contract is massive to get rid of this year. They can wait it out and potentially bring in his heir apparent at some point. This draft is very interesting because I think that outside of clearly, you mentioned Mendoza and being the top guy, and there's a bunch of guys that are either developmental or, have fallen off the radar. I think if you gave a runway to some of these guys that have kind of fallen by the wayside, like Drew Aller and a few other names on the board, if you gave them some runway with their talent level, I think you might be able to get a guy that you can, maybe pick up in the third or fourth or fifth round. And, within 2 to 3 years, he might be a proverbial starter. So they might be looking at it from that space, but they got a lot of things to fix with little money to do so. So I'm hoping that Stephen Ross knows that and gives Jeff Hafley the carte blanche to fix the misgivings of the previous regime for sure. So we'll see how things go.
I will say too, to kind of finish your point about it going one way or the other, it could go very well with, like you said, it's a fresh new face and completely changes the culture in there. Or it could go the Brandon Staley route where, having a premium pass rusher a la Aaron Donald helps a lot and, kind of makes it a lot easier to run a defense when you have that surefire piece there on the D line. So he obviously doesn't have that in Miami. He really doesn't have a whole lot to work with in Miami. So this first year, most likely than not, is probably going to be a rough one. Wouldn't be surprised if they're 5 wins and under. And yeah, it's just going to see is Miami ownership going to be patient with him and let him, try to complete a rebuild here. And once he maybe gets a quarterback, maybe get some pieces on defense going, give him I hate to use this term, but, give him a long leash in the sense that, if with the early failures, we're gonna stick by you, and we'll see what happens. Did we get a announcement on how many years he got? I know all these coaches are getting like 5-year contracts, but we see teams fire them way quicker than that.
I kind of missed the details of the contract on that space. So I can look it up for you real quick. But yeah, I'm not sure. But everybody else is getting 5 years. So I'd imagine that's what he got. But that doesn't, clearly, Cap Valley can attest to this. Just because you get a 5-year contract doesn't mean you're going to last 5 years.
That means you're going to get paid for 5 years.
You're going to get paid for 5. You might be there 1 or 2.
Yeah. There you go.
But on that Miami hire, I think that's mostly ownership laying down the law, so to speak, because this guy's bringing some rebuilding, yes, but they're bringing in a guy that has more structure about him, to say the least. Everything was what I've been hearing was kind of loosey-goosey under McDaniel. So they wanted somebody to kind of like put the barbed wire up, so to speak, for the young cats to know, don't get too close to this. So that's what I'm thinking that whole thing was about. You've got to deal with Tua and his contract until they can milk him at least a couple more years out of that, and then find a way to put him out the pasture. And they will be looking for that next up-and-coming QB.
Yeah, and it's RG's point. If they do go 5 and whatever or less than that, then they definitely will be prime position to draft the quarterback in next year's draft.
Yeah.
Maybe stick with Tua for 1 more year and just hopefully he stays healthy and they'll have their pick of the litter. No pun intended, from getting the quarterback for 2027. So we'll see.
I think
I'm sorry. I wanted to.
Go for it, Cap.
The thing, you guys are kind of poo-pooing a Mateer out of Oklahoma, and you mentioned Drew Aller, but I think Mateer. And remember, they got Quinn Ewers, who was out of Texas, and he isn't bad. He's a little on the undersized thing. I think Mateer, once he comes back to full productivity, he's not a bad quarterback, and they might be lucky enough to grab him too.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I think that, again, the guy, I just named one person in that particular aspect of it, but I think there are a few guys on the list that were, I guess you can say, top candidates at the start of the year. But as things went on, they kind of fell off to the wayside, and Doza was the only one that matriculated to the top of the ranks, and he stayed there. Everybody else kind of fell off. People have misgivings about Top Simpson. Trinidad Chambliss is fighting his eligibility issue. Garrett Nussmeier, Carson Beck. Kay Klubnik, Drew Aller, Diego Pava and his 5'9" stature. There's a lot of names here. There were names at the start of the season, but they didn't have the best season, so people aren't looking at them as day one starters. More, I would say there are a lot of guys that are projects, but they do have talent. You have arm strength, athletic ability. Them getting a lot done in the college ranks is left a little bit be desired, but you might get a coach that can work with him and turn him around into a proverbial pro because he has the talent.
Maybe you get a Tyler Shuck.
But exactly. Something like that.
You see I'm looking at this growing theme now. Everybody's tried the smallish dual threat kind of QB. Now they're going for the larger in stature guy that can take more punishment.
Right. That's why Mendoza's so advertising, because he's
so high.
6'5", 225 pounds. So there you go.
They're gonna put 10 on him just in the weight program. He's gonna add 10 pounds.
Absolutely. So you're looking at 235. It's 6'5". Yeah, that's a guy right there. That's a guy.
Just as long as he doesn't get Jamarcus big, we'll be okay.
Yeah, please don't. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Too many sweet potato pies. That was the problem with that.
Sweet potato pies and purple drank, but I'm just gonna say.
Ed, he's traveling. He's been traveling the last couple of weeks. That's why he's been missing. He's been traveling. But yeah, hopefully we'll get him back here soon once he gets his schedule freed up. Yeah, that's the only reason why we're missing Ref at this point. He's on travel.
I'll make this quick last point on the Tua thing. Or on the Dolphins thing. I just think there's no way you can go back to Tua after benching him.
Really?
I truly he's got the money, but his confidence has to be just incredibly shot right now. Forget the fact of the injury concerns and that aspect of it. And he did stay healthy. That if you want to take there wasn't many positives to take from Tua last season. But if you want to take one positive, he did stay healthy for the most part.
He did.
And I just feel like already at that point, your confidence is shot. You got benched for a 6th round QB. Like I don't know. Maybe you know what? Maybe he's mentally tough and he's able to block out, that noise and he's able to just stay confident. But I think that might be last season. Might have been the last time we saw Tua on a football field.
Wow. Okay, that's a little bit of a hot take. I'm not. He's not without merit, though. I get what you're saying. I definitely get what you're saying. But I mean, if he was told, you also have to realize that there's a new regime. So you have everybody feel like they have a fresh reset and start with a new coaching staff, a whole new coaching staff. Everybody's different. Everybody's start from ground zero. You can look at it from that space, and as well as if Mike McDaniel told Tua when he started Quinn Ewers in those games, they're like, look, we're out of it. I don't want to get you hurt. I want to preserve you for next year. So that's the only reason why we're doing it. We're just giving the kid a look, giving him some experience. We don't want to put you in harm's way. There's really no point in you playing. But he didn't never give him the inclination. Clearly Mike McDaniel's gone now, but he didn't give him an inclination that he would want to go and be the starter going forward. So if you told him that, if you had that conversation, then this should be fine. But if you didn't, then to your point, you could be looking at a situation where his confidence might be shot. I mean, with the injuries and the inability to pass protect him in a sense, all lines been bad, and you're not going to fix that overnight. It could be a lot of things to factor into it, but I mean, it's not far-fetched. But I think that if they did their due diligence, then he should be looked at as a starter unless they find something better in free agency, which is slim to none at this point. Not a whole lot of free agency quarterbacks, knocking out people's doors at this moment. So,
well, the Raiders can swap Geno for Tua, but take Tua and some picks.
Yeah, I would do that.
Yeah, Tua and some picks for Geno, because then you would take somebody's whose confidence is shot against somebody who likes to show his IQ. Oh, no, but that's why they pay me the big bucks. And then he can go back down to South Florida where he was saying that's why they pay me the big bucks, because that's where it was shot in South Florida.
Okay.
That actually, honestly, all jokes aside, that might not be a terrible decision.
It's not.
They were, you get off the Tua contract, you get I know Raiders fans aren't going to agree. You'll get a somewhat serviceable quarterback, at least a guy that can take hits and, is not going to be at risk of dying every time he gets sacked. And I mean, hey, like you say, you get off from under the contract and the Raiders, they're in a position where they can eat that cap with no problem.
Well, I would say we'll take Tua picks and kind of do what the Phillies are trying to do with Nick Castellanos. We'll take some of that, but you got to eat some of the contract back. You do that, and I can see that trade happening.
Oh, if they got to eat some of the contract, they're not attaching much to it. I could see if you guys take the whole contract, then they'd be like, all right, we'll fork over like a second and a third and maybe a lower end player. Yeah, well, that's a whole other. I mean, hey,
to chime in on that one, he I don't want to at all.
You know what? You can have him sit behind Mendoza, and you know what? Hey, you're paying your backup whatever. Well, actually, you're paying your backup $50 million. And it's only for a year, and then you can cut them after that.
Oh, throw Tua out there and initially let Mendoza sit, and get.
That's what I was going to say, because you do not put Mendoza. Right, and thank you, the Violators. I was going to say AOC 12 should be the starter from jump, because you don't want to put anybody behind whichever line is in the iteration for the Raiders this year. And yes, we had the worst offensive line in the AFC West. Book it, okay?
It's just wrong.
Anyway, when it gets revamped, right? You put Mendoza and the kid has got all of the capabilities and he's got the NFL smarts, but he doesn't have the NFL quicks to see what's coming at him right now. The best quarterbacks sit. Patrick Mahomes sat behind the guy that's on TV now, Alex Smith. Thank you. Rodgers sat behind Favre for years. These guys sit. They look at the game. They learn it from the bench. They learn the game from the bench, and that's when you get it better. And that's why I say you draft Mendoza. You get him an offensive line, but you still have him sit behind AOC 12, or if the Raiders do get Tua, throw the kid out there. Tua, not Mendoza.
Easy, you're hilarious, by the way. And Bishop has got a little something to say to Cap in regards to that.
Yeah, no, hell nah. I still don't want it, but I'm going to say if you want to get rid of Geno and take a flyer on a quarterback, sure. But yeah, Bishop, hell nah.
There's a lot of people not on the Tua trade here in the chat.
I feel like a lot of this comes down to the picks. Like if you're getting picks with him, then it's somewhat worth it. But if you're not, because again, we're expecting Miami to be terrible. So those second, third round picks, they could be pretty high up in there.
They could. Okay, we'll see. All right. So let's move on to the Titans. Violator, let's talk about Robert Saleh. And how do you feel about that hire? Do you think it was a good one? There are rumors that Brian Daboll might sign with them as OC as well. So how do you feel about Robert Saleh being in Tennessee?
I think Tennessee is getting ready to come up. They've got a first-round pick quarterback. If he gets Brian Daboll, as his OC, there's somebody that can mentor that young kid, teach him some nuances. But with Coach Saleh himself, they're getting a solid defensive guy, and I think he will still call his own plays, even though he may bring in a defensive coordinator. He kept a few of his staff members right now. The tight end coach he kept, the running backs coach he kept, and the cornerback coach he kept. So he just got rid of his OCDC. They may have philosophical differences, but Robert Saleh as a DC has a proven track record, and he's also had his taste of being a head coach with the Jets, even though he left with like a 20-36 record over his time there. Mm-hmm. But he's got a taste of being that CEO guy, and second chances are sometimes the best. So I think the Titans are really going to come up and be recognized this next coming season, especially in their division.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking top cap money. They already got their quarterback, so they can go big game hunting for all the top names to fill the voids in that roster. And they got high draft picks as well, so they could literally have a New England style off season in 2026, like they did in 2025. Go out and spend your $200 million, in contracts over the course of the next 3 or 4 years, and just you go all in. And with Saleh, getting that defense, right. I mean, if he can do what he did with San Fran at in that roster that was decimated by injury, then he definitely can do some things with Jeffrey Simmons, and company leading the charge up front. So if he finds himself a corner or two, a couple of linebackers, maybe a safety, yeah, I think they're gonna make some noise. And that division just got better. What's up, Cap?
I seem to recall somebody on this panel said that Robert Saleh was going to be a head coach. I had the team wrong, but I said that Robert Saleh was going to be a head coach. I had it as a hot take. And you know what? I'm sorry that the Raiders didn't pick him with a hot young OC as I contemplated. But yeah, like I said, you have Brian Daboll might be going over there. That's what I was going to say. Robert Saleh comes to the Raiders with an OC of fine repute. Raiders take off on that, but it's not going to happen. But I seem to recall that somebody had Robert Saleh in the head coaching sweepstakes as a winner this year.
I mean, I don't disagree with you, because I think that he got a raw deal when going to the Jets in the first place.
Yeah.
I really think that he was a scapegoat for a lot of their misgivings. And you see how quickly they floundered and fell on their face the moment he left. It literally started falling apart the day he left. So clearly you could tell who the problem was from jump. And Harbaugh was smart to bring him back as the defensive coordinator for 1 year, and then boom, right back to another head coaching job, because he's a culture guy. I think he sets the culture. I think he gets really the most out of his players, and he's really good schematically. He's really good schematically. So I do believe that he's prime and ready to turn the Titans team around. And if he does get Daboll, you're talking about 2 former head coaches as running the defense and offense. That should be a winner, in my opinion.
That's experience on both sides.
Absolutely. I like the hire for sure. Yeah,
okay. The Titans are definitely going to be one of those teams that like other teams just hate playing. They're going to be one of those teams that on paper. Yeah, they're kind of already like that now. Like they're just going to be gritty. They're going to be tough. They're not going to lay down, and eventually that's going to turn into wins. So they're going to be one of those nagging teams that you can never get away of, that you hate playing.
Yeah, and if I'm the coach, I watch my back because I think that they're coming for, blood in that division. Because clearly the Texans, are a prime position as well as the Jaguars, based upon the last season. But the coach might want to watch their back, because if they don't, the Titans are going to mess around and knock them off a few times and be at least third or higher in that division if they win games at the right level, for sure.
That's a sneaky, nice, division of coaches right there. I mean, you got D'Amico Ryans in Houston, you got Liam Cohen in Jacksonville, Shane Steichen in Indy, and I get Indy, kind of floundered towards the end of the year, but I think we can all attribute that to Daniel Jones going down, and the fact that they were playing as well as they were with Daniel Jones at quarterback. You definitely got to give credit to Steichen there. So this is going to be a little, obviously no Super Bowl wins or anything like that between any of these coaches, but a nice young core of coaches in this division. I'm excited to see how it shaped up.
You're seeing that trend of new juice in the NFL.
Yeah,
and it's changing across the whole scape of it. And it's just, like we say, it's trending. That is a thing. It's not just a trend, because every team is copying the others, success kind of formula. So it's going to be interesting here for a few years now with this year's coaching carousel. That's going to set up other teams that's going to follow after this coming season. There's going to be another carousel. So
listen, they turned over a third of the coaches in one season.
Yes, in one season. Yeah, I think that was precedented, right?
It was unprecedented. You're right. Okay, so I was going to talk about Mike McCarthy in replacement of Alex, who's not here with us, but he's here with us in spirit. If you saw his message earlier, he got a screaming baby he got to deal with, so he couldn't join us today. But I got something to say about Mike McCarthy on Patreon. We just started a Patreon channel for the network. And if you haven't signed up, please do so. We'll promote the link at the bottom of the screen. So I'm going to do a video on Mike McCarthy in its entirety on Patreon coming up here soon. So I'm going to let Dub handle Mike McCarthy's coaching hire and give his thoughts, because I have a lot to say on it, and it's going to be lengthy, and I don't want to take up the whole show for that. So I'm going to recuse myself and let Dub take Mike McCarthy hire from the Steelers.
Yeah, well, this one won't be very long on my end. I think this is a matter of they had to make a decision, and it feels like they went with the safest, what they thought was going to be the safest bet.
Mm-hmm.
I think what this says more to me, and what this is more of, I guess, a flag, is how they must have felt, or maybe lack of feeling, for Brian Flores. Because, I mean, it felt like the carpet was laid out for him. It felt like Tomlin gave, his highest recommendation, and whatever the case is, it just seemed like that was going to be the best fit. But for whatever reason, they just didn't feel like that was the way to go. And, I'm not sure where they landed with some of the other guys, but it felt like they thought they were going to go one way. The interviews or whatever, when it came down to it, they decided, nah, it just doesn't feel right. Let's go with the safest pick for now. Because similar to taking, an aging vet at quarterback, or taking a guy that is not going to be your guy in the future at quarterback, this is just a holdover until they find that hot coaching candidate or that hot guy that they actually fall in love with. So I think this is just a case of, it was either they were going to find somebody that they absolutely fell in love with, or they were just going to go with the safe guy to get them over the hump until, they find somebody that they do fall in love with. So we'll see how long it lasts. Obviously, this is a rental between him. We still don't know what's going on with the quarterback situation. That's another rental. But if I'm a Steeler fan, or, the Steelers organization, this still just doesn't seem to have any type of idea of where they're going forward with the organization, with the franchise. What they have in that building is not a championship contender, not from a coaching aspect, not from, a personnel aspect. Nothing they have says that they're going to contend for a championship. And what's even more alarming is nothing they have says that they have any type of plan going forward for the future. So this is just something that to keep their head above water. We'll see what happens when, throughout the season. But I'm just, like I said, more than the hire, I'm more thinking about why they didn't hire Flores and what that means for him going forward.
Yeah. Again, I'm not going to break. I'm not going to. I'm not going to hold on to Patreon.
Don't hold back.
I'm holding for Patreon, so check it out. The videos we drop in our inaugural week are going to be free. as a trial, and so check it out. It will be dropping tomorrow. But just to say, this is completely and utterly opposite of what the Steelers typically do.
This was a Make-A-Wish hire.
Oh damn!
Yeah, this was just. I'll say it for you. I'll say it for you, Coach. This was a Make-A-Wish hire.
Make-A-Wish hire. Wow.
What the fuck are the Steelers doing, man? This is like I don't even know how to explain the ineptitude you had to hire Mike McCarthy. Like the one piece of credit I give Mike McCarthy, he is a floor raiser. He will elevate a terrible team to somewhat look like a comparable NFL team. The Steelers didn't need a floor raiser. They have been the definition of setting the floor for the last decade and a half.
Wow.
That was the last thing that they needed. So this, to emulate Coach Dub, this is just an asinine hire, and is completely different from what the Steelers have been known to do and what they flaunted in doing at head coach for their entire existence as a franchise.
Wow.
I just think it's got a lot to do, like what Coach Dub just said, how much they had disdainment for Brian Flores. And my thinking is that this guy is probably one of those coaches, kind of like the Chiefs.
Eric Bieniemy.
They're kind of like in that blackball kind of section of the room, so to speak, right now.
Yeah, Eric Bieniemy, their violator.
Yeah, appreciate you, bro. I'm looking at his face, but I couldn't say his damn name.
Right.
Yeah, Bieniemy. Yeah.
I mean, you could argue what the Flores is, I guess you can say persona non grata is on him because he sued the NFL for discrimination, and this is clearly merited. Y'all gonna get me started. Okay, it's clearly merited because every time he's up for a head coaching job, he gets passed over, or he gets interviewed for the sake of the Rooney Rule, which kills me because the Rooney Rule is based on Art Rooney, who is the owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So if nobody else could, to make a trailblazing hire in hiring Flores and get him back into the head coaching ranks and allow him the carte blanche to do things his way, like you did for Mike Tomlin, it would have been them. So it really doesn't make any sense to me. Again, it's ridiculous. And this is not something they normally do. They hire a young guy who they give them the long runway to, obviously set his culture, put things in place how he wants them, and, take off and running and keep them, relevant throughout their tenure. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to, obviously deliver a Super Bowl in that time frame, but you'll at least be, a very competent and relevant team. So I don't understand, because Mike McCarthy is 62 years old, and he's an old 62. He's not a young 62 like Vrabel's a young 50. He's an older guy. So you're not going to get 18, 20 years out of him. You're just not. So it's very mind-boggling to me why they hired him. It really is. I don't understand.
Hell, you'd be happy to get 18 months out of Mike McCarthy.
And like I said, I don't think they want that. I don't think they want more than two. They're just trying to get. It feels like they're just trying to get through this Aaron Rodgers phase or whatever for the next 1 year, and then they'll worry. But it's just weird that they haven't set any type of, I guess, direction for what they're going to do after this year or two. So yeah, but it's, to me, I agree. It's clear that they're not looking for 3 and 4 years. They haven't found the guy that they're going to fall in love with long term. And I don't know if there's some hot guy that they have their eye on, some hot coach or whatever that they had their eye on or whatever. But it's just weird that clearly they're not looking for something long term right now. I don't know what they're looking for though.
Which is crazy, but again, I mean, unless they got somebody that they have in mind, it's not going to be available to them until Mike McCarthy, completely and utterly,
I think they're looking though, and I think McCarthy is just a bridge guy, like Dub just said. They're looking, but whoever they're looking for is not in this coaching cycle.
Okay, that's fair.
I agree.
So maybe the Tomlin's resigning kind of caught them off guard, and they were kind of scrambling. That's why they're in this ballpark now. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
And I think all that news is coming out pretty soon too.
Bishop been teasing it all. I listen. I'm not touching it.
Yeah, I know, but hey.
This is big broadcasters. I'm not touching that. I'm not touching that. I don't have my disclaimer video ready to let them know that we're not accusing anybody of anything. So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut on that one. But he definitely, if you're in the chat, he definitely has some tea on why you think Mike Tomlin stepped down. So we'll see.
To be continued. To be continued.
Indeed. All right. So that is it for our coaching hires. Anybody want to talk about Joe Brady real quick before we move on? I mean, clearly that came out today. He was on the docket before we loaded up the show, but yeah, that's another interesting one for me.
Continuity. I mean, he's been there with the team. He's been there with Josh Allen. Josh Allen is familiar playing under that offense. If they didn't think he had the chops, they went out and got somebody that they think it had the chops. I think it's a natural accession and in-house. And I think if you want to keep if you want to keep the band together, when you lose your lead singer, you have Phil Collins replace Peter Gabriel. That's what I'm saying.
Damn, Cap, good ball, man. Good one. That's a good one, Cap. Oh man, that's a good one. I gotta give you credit for that one. That's a good one, brother.
That's a good one.
I like that. That is a good one. For those, for those who've been alive long enough to know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Sure.
But I think too, it was to keep Josh with somebody he was familiar with that can work with him.
Mm-hmm.
And basically the front office keeping him happy, because you've seen the guys that came through there for interviews and nobody seemed to fit. I thought Dable was going to be the guy myself.
Yeah, I thought that as well. That was my pick, but clearly they went in a different direction. I mean, I don't see why, because clearly, Brady was his quarterback coach when Dayball was there, and then Dayball left, he got elevated. So, but have both of them together, I don't see the issue personally. But it's kind of a knock on Joe Brady because he's been an OC, and you kind of bring a guy in over top of him instead of his natural ascension. So you might piss him off this season. He might go somewhere else and coach. So you probably look at it like, I need to keep him in house. I don't want to lose him, so we'll just make him the head coach.
Just like they say, we don't let your players leave the building.
Yeah.
Same instance with your coaches.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Damn it, I put this thing on the screen. I mean, I didn't mean to do that. But yes, I definitely agree that definitely was the move. But we'll see how things go.
And keeping with the music analogy, that would be like replacing David Lee Roth with Sammy Hagar. Just sometimes things don't happen.
You're killing it today.
Yeah.
I'm just keeping with the same analogy there, Coach. I mean, I have the long train running going. That's a Doobie reference, by the way.
See what I'm saying?
All over it, man.
You really are. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's our coverage on coaching hires. So let's move on down the line. Let's talk about the conference title game. Let's get into some game recap real quick before we get into the rest of our show. So, like I said, it's to two teams, unlikely all space that I talked about at the top of the show. The Seahawks and the Patriots are now in the Super Bowl, and it was two interesting games. I mean, we kind of had a snooze fest in Denver, if you had to be honest about the situation. It was a little rough to stay awake to watch that one. Wasn't a lot of action. But the Rams and the Seahawks definitely made up for it. So let's turn it over to Cap first, talk about the Broncos game. What was your takeaways from the game, and how do you felt about how the game turned? Do you think that, because people are kind of browbeating Sean Payton for making that call and not kicking the field goal early, and then the weather got ugly, and then it just completely went off the rails. So what was your takeaways from the game, Cap, and how did you feel about the matchup?
Okay, well, first off, I want to make sure that people understand that while the game was going on, I was at a Lester Hayes and Ira Matthews signing, so I didn't have to hear Tony Romo's voice. So that in itself was a blessing. Okay, and the TV was on enough where I can see what was going on, and in short. And the reason why that was a blessing, because I did not have to hear until I saw the quick broadcast today that had like about 16 minutes of the game with all I really needed to know. And it's like, Romo just I told you should have went for that field goal, when it was, fourth down and they turned the ball over on downs. And again, that's 3 points that you ultimately needed. But for those that didn't see the game and were spared Tony Romo, thank you for that. It looked like the Broncos were just going to go out, run away, and hide. 3 and out, 3 and out. But then they had like the quick strikes down the field with Jarrett Stidham playing the long-armed quarterback. Like hell, he was number 3 with the Raiders. It kind of looked like old boy Darryl LaMonica hitting Warren Wells down, except it was whoever that other speedster was for the Broncos. I'm sure DZ's in here. Mims, right?
Yep.
There you go. See, I pulled it out my ass. You have that. You had the long strike, and then and I don't know where the coverage was. I was with Lester when the guy caught the ball, and I'm like, where the hell is the coverage? And it's great to have a man as knowledgeable as Lester Hayes, and why the hell he is not in the Hall of Fame is beyond me. Okay, I'm telling you. Take the Stickum shit aside. The man could catch everything in the side. Didn't need Stickum. It was a bad rap that he got. But anyway, so I'm looking at the touchdown that Denver had was sitting with basically like a corner pattern. And I'm like, where the hell's the coverage? He goes, Cap, you got to see it. The guy bit. The guy did that little quick fake, and he went with the fake, and then he turned, and he was right. The guy went off the coverage, for that one quick jab, and the receiver was wide open. So there's your 7 immediately, right? And then it looked like they were going to go and get some more points when they turned it over. And again, I didn't have to listen to Tony Romo saying it. So when the Patriots had the turnover that was, again, caused by Stidham on a short field, you can't make this shit up. Stidham is his own word. And I like Jarrett Stidham. This is not a inclination of, bombing Jarrett Stidham, because the kid played well overall, okay? He was his own worst enemy at the inopportune times. But you throw a guy in there that hasn't had a start in like 2 years, but he knows the system, and he played well under the circumstances. But Stidham has a lateral fumble, and again, because I didn't hear sound, I didn't realize. I'm like, that's a effing. See, I caught myself, Coach. That's an effing touchdown. When you see that it was returned by the Patriots, I didn't hear that there was a whistle. I don't know why they had a whistle. I guess a blown whistle call, but they ended up getting the Patriots the ball, short field. You got another guy who could run the ball in Drew May, whatever, Mr. May. Yeah. Some dude named May, who plays like the guitarist, the Queen. See, there you go. See, here's another one. Come on, man, Roger May, man, give me some here. I'm just going music tonight, baby. There you go. Anyway, so you get a tying touchdown. And then it becomes down to the things that you were afforded the opportunities to. The Patriots had the Broncos had an opportunity to get 3, they get 0. The Patriots get 3 at the beginning of the second half, because it was 2 missed field goals at the end of the first half, which is kind of foreshadowing of what was going on. You take the points when they're afforded to you. The Patriots end up getting a field goal before the blizzard from hell or Haiti or the Antarctic or whatever comes in and sweeps over the field. There ain't nothing going on, and the last ditch effort. But I'm going to skip ahead to the ending. The last ditch effort by the Broncos. The guy goes for a field goal, and it is blocked. And that's all she wrote. It was an entertaining game, especially if you didn't have to listen to Tony Romo. And the fact is that it would, but see, I like defensive slugfest. That's why I like the last game that the Raiders played, because it was entertaining. If not all in your face, it was something that you kept you in your seats. You didn't have to listen to it. You could watch it and see that there was a lot of, back and forth and hems and haws and oohs and ahs. That's football, damn it. I wish we had more of that.
Yeah. I mean, I like sound defense if nothing else. Just to say that part. out loud. You want to see some scoring. You don't want to see a 3-3 ball game, and I think that's what the NFL is trying to get out of, or have been trying to get out for the last 10 years per se. Especially after that I think they really had enough with that Patriots Super Bowl a few years ago. Was against the Rams?
The Rams, with Jared Goff.
It was like 10-7. They don't want to see a 10-7 Super Bowl.
It was 10-3.
10-3. Yeah, right. So it was brutal. Brutal watch. So I think they had enough of that. They don't want to see that in the Super Bowl, so they kind of pivoted some rules here. But I agree with you. I definitely like sound defense and defense to show up at times where it needs to show up at. So I'm definitely not going to knock that. But overall, it would have been a 10-7 ball game, and clearly we took that field goal early when the weather wasn't bad. And that's the only thing I really have a knock on Sean Payton for. You had to know what the weather was going to be like.
Yep.
They were calling for snow from the jump. So you were lucky and you were blessed to have the first half not be affected by snow. But damn, when the snow hit, it hit. And it affected the game completely and utterly, and it took the life out of the game in its entirety. And it affected the kicking game, it affected the passing game. I mean, everything. And when that goes down to the playing defense aspect of it. When you know a team could do nothing but run, that makes it easy for you from the defensive side of the ball. You just load the box and dare him to throw because he's not going to be able to complete a pass over 5 yards. So yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. But yeah, Sean Payton, he's on a rampage because he fired all his coaching staff after this. And the OC and a few other guys, they got the boots today. So yeah.
Well,
I think that was a little bit of deflection myself.
Yeah.
To take the heat off of him because the Bronco country or whatever they call themselves were all over him about not taking those 3 points earlier.
Yeah.
Like you said, knowing that the weather was going to change. And I mean, when it changed. And that really affected the second half of the game. It pretty much shut down any passing that Stidham may have wanted to try.
Yep. Because
of the wind. Mm-hmm. So they did. They stacked the box. They shut down that little running game that they had. It was game over.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree.
One other thing, Coach, and again, I apologize for I'm hitting everybody on the jump as soon as I'm trying to find the right time to come in. I apologize. I'm not deliberately walking on people. But when you get rid of Mike Lombardi, who was the Broncos OC, which I told was fire, he's not the greatest.
Joe Lombardi. Okay.
Whatever. Mike, Joe, whatever, Matt, Stu.
They're not Vince. That's all that matters.
Right, exactly. And actually, he's definitely not Vince because I actually thought he was of that lineage, and he's not. So there you go. But, Matt, Shemp, Curly, Mo, whatever Lombardi you got, he's not a great coach. I mean, and you get rid of him. And why do you get rid of him? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because your passing game coordinator is being bantied about to be the head coach for one, if not two teams. Mm-hmm. You get that bad boy out of the office and you automatically promote.
Yeah.
There you go.
Davis Webb to OC. Thank you, Mike Sarah. Now, here's the thing, though. You can do that. But God forbid if the Raiders said, we want you as head coach. I don't know under the stipulations of you got to go up. You got to go up. Now that would prevent That would prevent Davis Webb from coming over to the Raiders as the OC under Kubiak if that's who they're settling on. And I think that's a good move on their part because I think that one was in the win. And this was what I was thinking is that if you're getting Clint Kubiak and he's a young guy who is an offensive-minded guy, but if you're going to be the head coach and kind of have an OC underneath you, you kind of tutor him or the tutelage under him, I think they would have maybe entertained Davis Webb as the OC with the Raiders, but now they can't do that because you can't go lateral. Can't go lateral.
Interesting about what Violet said about Peyton, kind of scapegoating the coaching staff, for the misgivings of what happened in the playoff game. I mean, I don't even see it as like that because everybody knows that Sean Payton calls the plays. Lombardi being there was just there in name. He wasn't there to be the offensive guru or the offensive savant that other OCs are that are the legit play callers. Sean Payton's calling all the plays. He's drawing up all the diagrams. He's doing all the game plans. It's his bag. So you find OC doesn't tell me anything. It tells me that you still, calling plays, and Lombardi had nothing to do with the idea, the decision making in that game. It didn't come down to you. Even if he did come down to him, Lombardi calling plays, Peyton made a decision to either go for it or kick. That was his decision. That's always the head coach's decision. So you can't let that defeat Lombardi, no matter how you look at it.
I think it was go ahead, Robert.
I was going to say that's kind of like a Pete Carroll move, firing Chip Kelly when it's your fault.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, yeah. All right. So
I'm
any more other
sorry.
takeaways from this game before we move on to the Rams game?
Yeah, Violator had something. Go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say, I think that was one of those chess moves where, like I say, you don't let this young kid go because he had a lot of respect for him for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd rather promote him and let this other Lombardi's head roll and hey, it all be forgotten. You know what I mean? Definitely didn't want us to get a hold of David Webb. And like I say, he was a hot guy. His name was all over our feed as being that guy. So
yeah,
because with Kubiak, you never know. The Shanahans could be telling him, hey, you don't want to go over there. So I'm just
Thank
saying,
you. That was my hot take. You're
That's
killing me. You're killing me, Violator.
Hilarious.
You're killing me, Small. You're killing me. Oh, man.
Sorry.
I got to go pull another one out of my ass. Damn it. Well, you're going to hear it again later anyway.
I'm just thinking of that old rivalry between us. It ain't going nowhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. So we got the NFC matchup, and it definitely didn't leave nothing on the plate. They definitely finished their breakfast in this space. There was a lot of points scored in this matchup. It wasn't like the AFC matchup at all. It was definitely a knockdown drag out. So let's tag team this one between me and Dub. Let's talk about the Rams Seahawks matchup. What was your perspective on it? I have some takeaways from it from my own perspective. But what was your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, first and foremost, and we'll touch on this a little bit later when we get into the awards, but in case there was any question beforehand, the NFC West is just purely the most talented division in football. I'm sorry. I mean, like stars galore, whether it be Adams, Cup, not Cup, Cup on the other team, but I meant to say
Puka.
Yeah. Adams, Puka, JSN, Kenneth Walker. This is just in this game, you know what I mean? And it was just stars being stars. Stafford, Darnold played well just across the board. It was an entertaining game. It was, ballers balling out. The energy was there from start to finish. It was what we thought it was going to be. And it was also a coaching masterpiece. I mean, if you look at some of the plays that were called, that touchdown to JSN and how they schemed him up on that corner route, in the line. It was just beautiful, and it was great to see from a football fan's standpoint. I think the best team won, but if you would have played this game 10 times, probably it would have been 5-5. I really believe that.
I definitely agree with that.
What I mean, and I think you could probably point to the muff fumble that really changed the tide of the game.
Definitely changed the dynamic of the game. It really did.
That was it right there.
That was the delineation, and it was so bad that they took him off that coverage, and he didn't return a punt after that. It was
he might not even be on the roster after that.
He might not.
He might not. At that point in that game, you knew anything. Probably the team that had the ball last, maybe 1-1 would have won. Possessions are at a premium. For you to make that mistake, it's just like and I'm sure he feels thousands of punts, and it's just the one chance. But listen, it's accountability. It's the NFL. This is not the time for that to happen. We can't afford for it to happen again, and heads got to roll. So aside from that, anything could have happened in that game. I thought it was a great game from start to finish. Like I said, it was stars all over the field. But shout out to the Seahawks for coming through and pulling out the dub.
Yeah, definitely that. I mean, clearly, I was rooting for the Rams because that was my pick to make us to the Super Bowl, and I made that pick at the top of the season. So they got me close to being completely, utterly right, but they, fell short. And that muff punt definitely changed the dynamics of the game. And then fast forwarding to them going for it on fourth down in the mid fourth quarter and not getting it, that utterly, changed things as well. So people argue, should McVay kick there and all that good stuff. I mean, with the top offense in the league, you trust what they come to do, and that's score points. So you trust their offense. You trust Matt Stafford as your MVP level quarterback, and you think with your play calling. You're a masterful play caller. I don't see the issue with the play call, with the decision. And I think that they would do that 9 times out of 10. They would still do the same thing if they were faced with the same adversity. On the other side of the ball, I really got to say this because I've been critical of him in the past. Sam Darnold plays his best football game at the most perfect time, and when it was utterly and completely needed. He had no flaws in his game on Sunday. You didn't. You're talking 25 or 36, 346 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. It's 127.8 quarterback rating. He played a masterful game. For a guy that has been reckless in the past, have been turnover prone in the past, he gave us his best when his best was needed, and I got to give him credit for that. I really do. And that carries over to the Super Bowl. The Patriots got a lot to deal with that defense, especially. So we'll get into later on. We'll get into our Super Bowl conversation, but the Seahawks definitely earned it. I'm sure I share that in lockstep with you, Dub. They definitely earned every bit of that matchup, and they definitely went to the right team because they definitely played completely and utterly well, and they did not give up anything easy. It was definitely a tough game with 2 great teams. I'll argue that might have been the 2 best teams in the NFC. Period.
Yeah, definitely. And
go ahead, Dub.
Oh, the last thing I was going to say really quick. I mentioned it last week, I should say, how Charbonnet getting injured was going to open the door for Kenneth Walker. And I say it again, like running backs, they don't always get the same type of, it's like a 3-point shooter, right? Sometimes you got to get a rhythm. You got to get going. You got to get, things like that. And the NFL doesn't allow running backs to get that rhythm and to get going and to get a feel for the game because of injury and, almost low management. But there are a lot of guys that could be that bell cow and could be, amazing running backs and do the things Kenneth Walker did and the same things we see from Saquon, the same things we see from Bijan and the same things we see from CMC. There are a lot of backs that, can do similar type of things, but they just don't get the chance because they're splitting carries because you're trying to preserve their body. But I just wanted to shed light on, just the ability that Kenneth Walker, he brought a whole dynamic to their team that teams haven't seen all year round. And we might see it again in the Super Bowl. So, of course, you don't want to see somebody get injured for that to happen. But boy, I mean, he really put the NFL on notice. He's a dog, and he could be that bell kill running back.
Yeah, as long as he's healthy. When he's healthy and whole, he's definitely a legit back, and he can do it all. And the Seahawks will have a decision to make because his contract's up. So they're gonna have a decision to make on him, especially with Charbonnet being hurt. Either whip out the franchise tag or open the checkbook. But I wouldn't let him walk out the door if I'm them.
Nah, not at all.
Okay, Viola, you had someone in this game?
No, I was just saying. I was just going to reiterate about the outcome of the game, and listen to Coach McVay in the post game. The camera caught him a couple of times with expressions that you knew he didn't want the camera to see. So he covered his face and said what he wanted to say. But when he's talking, you could just hear that hurt when he said, we were prepared to walk out of here victorious. And so sometimes when you get that right cross and you don't see it coming, it kind of blindsided you. So like you say, now we look back to that kid's fumble. To me, that was a turning point of that game because momentum switched completely. Yes. And I was going to say about Sam Donaldson, there was a twinkle in his eye that he remembered all the stuff that had been printed, said, and song about him. It was like, eat that. That was the look that he had on his face after coming out victorious. Like you say, he played almost a perfect game.
And he did. I mean, there wasn't no flaws.
Yeah, and under pressure now, under pressure.
Yeah, he got sacked 3 times in the game, but it didn't phase him.
Yeah, it didn't phase him.
Didn't phase him.
I'll say this too about the Rams. People often forget that there are 3 phases to a football team.
How about
there is the offense, there is the defense, and there is a little redheaded stepchild, also known as special teams. And what has killed the Rams all year long, they fired their special teams coordinator mid-season, something that Sean McVay never does. He always rides out his coach's paws for the entire year. And then you can decide in the offseason to make changes or not. So that just went to show you how bad it was, the fact that Sean McVay made such a drastic decision. And, ultimately you try to replace it. It didn't work out. And what lost you the game the last time against the Seahawks, special teams, missing a field goal and a prime opportunity to set yourself up and, essentially walk it off. Same part here, a muff punt. And that was basically it. That, like you guys said, that muff punt was the game right there.
It really was. It really was. So yeah, it sucks for them, for the Rams, perspective, because they were definitely, the top offense in the league all year long. But to my point earlier, Seahawks definitely earned it, man. They definitely earned it. So gotta tip the hat to them for sure. Definitely a great game. Definitely gave us, for that trilogy, they gave us 3 good games. That's for sure.
Oh,
That's for sure.
Yeah. And you got to figure Mike McDonald's stock went through the roof with that. You know what I'm saying?
That hire for 2 years ago now is looking real well. Yeah. Shout out to John Snyder, from making all these moves and bringing all this together, because he is a visionary at this point. He is a visionary. He's rivaling Howie Roseman in Philly about his ability to get him. That's for sure. You have some, Doug?
It's funny you say that. I was just about to say they got to get a shout out for their scouting department. Look at their draft picks, man. They have hit.
They hit. They hit. Listen, we gush over that Nick Imawari pick.
Yeah.
He out there looking like an all-pro
playmaker.
I'm telling you, man. Like between Nick Imawari and Gray Zabel, and even going back a few years, like they've just been nailing their picks.
Yeah, JSN, the DB Witherspoon. I mean, they got playmakers at all levels.
All levels.
All homegrown developed.
Exactly. And that's what you got to do when you're in the Pacific Northwest with nothing to do. All you do is sit around and develop players. What you got, Cap?
I'll say you gotta love, and this is the at the very end. You gotta love Geno Smith going from an almost playoff team last year, gets traded to the Raiders, and takes us to the number 1 pick. So
that's a gift to keep on giving.
That's like a case of chlamydia that has gonorrhea on top of it.
Oh, Jesus.
Cap. Jeez, man.
Hey, we're at 1 hour and 12 minutes in. Come on, man. You said the gift that keeps on giving. That's it. Hey, that's easy.
I don't want that gift. Sorry. I'll pass.
I think that's more like a curse.
Return the sender. Return the sender.
For sure. Those things do. That's for sure. Okay. All right, so we'll talk about the teams that we have some RG.
For all my sailor friends,
Okay. All right, so to talk about the teams that made it, we have to talk about the teams that didn't and what they need to do to improve. So we're going to do our last segment maybe not. We'll talk about the Super Bowl potentially, but we'll talk about fallen teams. So the teams that did not make it, that got eliminated in this past playoff round, the Rams and the Broncos. So we're going to talk quickly about exactly what they think they need to do to improve in the 2026 offseason. So, we're going to start with Dub with the Broncos. Talk us about the Broncos and what they need to do to improve their stock and getting their, I guess you can say, bringing themselves back up to getting to the promised land in 2026.
Stay the course. They're a bad play call and weather, and Mother Nature away from being in the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like, why would you? I don't even. And of course, Violator and Captain Jack, they had a pretty good theory as to why you would make the changes that they made. But aside from that, I wouldn't shake too many things up. I mean, we said it going into the offseason last year. They did a good job with filling holes that they needed to fill. They spent their money very well. Yeah. They got a pretty. They're not old. They're pretty young actually when you look across the board. Yeah. So, stay the course. Don't shake things up. Next year, you'll come back a little bit more experienced. You'll know what it feels like to be on that stage. Of course, their record will be a little bit, tougher. So, of course, they're going to have to adjust to that. But stay the course. They built the team the right way. They have a pretty solid offensive line. They got their quarterback, and they got a good defense. So, I wouldn't shake things up too much.
Yeah, I mean the new good news for them is that they're finally out of the Russell Wilson business after this season. So they got they're gonna have that money freed up in the offseason to kind of spend. But Not a whole lot. I think they're dealing about $30 million in cap space before they rework things potentially, but at least they're not, in cap hell with the Russell Wilson deal. So yeah.
Yeah, and even with the free agency moves, like I will be very intentional with those where you're just not trying to bring in guys. It's all about preserving that culture. So whatever their locker room is like and whatever their culture is like right now, they have to just bring it back all off season. Drilling down how close we were. You know what I mean? I might have that score posted in the weight room all year round, so that you guys remember this feeling. You remember what it was like to get this far. That's got to be the fuel. But when it comes to free agency, even if they have the money, that doesn't mean that you have to spend it if it's not going to be the right fit of a guy.
Agreed.
Maybe what I mean. So
yeah,
they got what they need in that building right now.
They do. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Just building. I mean, O-line was the best in the league this year, so you keep that group together, obviously.
Yeah.
You just add some, I guess you can say some young talent, or just some adding on or improving an area that you thought that you might be weak in. But yeah, I don't think that you should shock the system away, rock the boat too much. I definitely agree with you there. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the Rams next, and I'm actually going to let RG take this one. This was Alex's topic, but I'm going to let RG take this one. So, what do you think the Rams should do? Matt Stafford is getting long in the tooth, and they got some young guys that are coming up with contracts soon. I think contract's not expiring, but Puka's eligible for extension. A few other guys that were drafted in that class. So, what do you think the Rams should do to improve their stock? And they got 2 first-round picks this year coming up. So, what do you think they should do?
Yeah, I mean, the Rams just similar to the Broncos. I mean, when you get to this point in the season, there's not a whole lot you can really look at to, we need to make drastic changes. We need to completely overhaul a particular unit of the team. I think for the Rams, it's just, you know what? You need to overhaul that special teams. That's what you need to do. You need
that part. Yes.
Dig hard at finding a great special teams coach. Get yourself a nice kick returner. I mean, like that. Legitimately, that is what the only thing the Rams need to do. They have a great running back. They got 2 great wide receivers. They got a plethora of tight ends that Stafford just makes look amazing. The defense got definitely a little shaky towards the end of the year. It started off hot, and they were flying around. That's why they, pretty early Super Bowl and MVP favorites for Matthew Stafford and them. But it started to simmer down as the season went on. Maybe you can attribute that to more film, things like that. Teams were able to adjust to some of the things they were doing well, but they have some great pieces on that D line in that secondary. So I just think it's more or less of the same for the Rams. They less what's his name? The GM for the Rams.
You might be right. It might be Les Snead.
Is it Les Snead? Yeah. Okay. I wasn't wrong about that. Yeah. Les Snead, he said F them picks, but you know what? That train comes around full circle, and he made some great moves in the past draft to, acquire another first-round pick this year, that being the Falcons. So, they definitely have a chance to improve in the areas of need with the capital that they have. And yeah, at this point, for the Rams, you're just, as long as Stafford is there, we feel like we have a chance. And, until we see some decline, and I really don't think you can say that considering he's probably going to win the MVP award this year.
Right.
Spoiler alert for the next segment. I think it's pretty safe to say that Matt Stafford is going to be there, and as long as he's there, McVay's there, and as long as those 2 are together, I mean, this team is a threat regardless.
You got a chance, that's for sure. It's like Reed and Holmes. If they're together, they always going to be in the conversation.
I'm sorry, if I may, Coach, you guys were talking about the Rams needing a good special teams coach. Well, actually, they had the opportunity to talk to one that went from Pittsburgh down here to the Bucs. The guy's been there for like 20-something years. One of the oldest, their special teams coach. I apologize, I don't remember his name, okay? But he is a solid, stalwart special teams coach. And they let that one get away, maybe because they were still in there. Now, if I was the Rams, and this is not me being a favoritism guy, I would.
Smith, by the way, Cap.
Thank you, there, big guy. Danny Smith is a great special teams guy. If I'm the Rams, I would find out what the contract status is for Rich Bisaccia of the Packers. If you want a great special teams coach, go after Rich Bisaccia. If he's not locked down, that's your guy that can turn things around. Not your head coach guy. I'm sorry, people were saying that he should have been the head coach. Yeah, Rich Bisaccia should have been the head coach for the Raiders, provided you had an all-star OC and an all-star DC, and then you bring them together. But if you don't, you let him walk, and that's unfortunate. But Rich Bisaccia is that guy to be your special teams guru, ace, and to take you to the next step.
I agree with that. You definitely hit the nail on the head there,
Great
man.
take.
Yeah, that's a great take, Cap.
His agent's already been contacted.
Right. They heard us, listen to us live, and they say, listen, get on the phone now, not now, but right now. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right, good stuff. Good stuff. Anybody want to add anything for the Broncos or the Rams, what they need to do to improve? But I definitely share the sentiments from all you guys. Definitely the Rams need to fix special teams. Assuming Matt Stafford is there, you go out and improve your secondary room for nothing else. I think you need a corner or two for the Rams to fix that secondary. I think that was one of the weaknesses for them. But, outside of that, maybe an O-lineman running back with the guys you have and, just tighten up that special teams, obviously, and you could be right back in the Super Bowl conversation next year if everybody's healthy. So
I think with the Rams having 2 first-round picks, I wouldn't be surprised to see if they made a splash. Maybe I've been hearing. I think Alex mentioned this before that the Chiefs may be looking to move McDuffie, or who knows what could happen. So they might be in the market for for a big trade with those 2 first-rounders.
I'm not mad at that at all. They're definitely something they need in all-pro corner. So yeah, that definitely will make sense.
Get them the hell out of the division.
Right.
Please.
A young guy that's going to be a problem in the first round. Because they get a first-round pick for him, that whoever they get in the first round is going to be a problem too. Because I think somebody broke the news in the chat and said they got Ruben Bain slated to go to the Chiefs in the mock draft at 9. So that's a problem. Chris Jones and Ruben Bain on that D-line. I ain't trying to look at that.
Didn't like that at all when I saw it.
Not like that at all. Not at all. Indeed. Yeah. Okay. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So now let's move on and talk about some season awards. Oh, I got to see the message. I got it messed up. We talk about season awards. Let's do believe first. Let's get out of the way. Do season awards at the end. Let's do your belief first. So this is our rolling segment of our first reaction questions. They don't know the questions beforehand, so we're getting their first takes on it. No prep, no homework being done on these questions. So it's first reactions from all these takes. So we're going to start with RG, and we're going to talk about the New York Giants.
Ooh.
So do you believe that John Harbaugh would take the Giants from worst to first in 2026?
Man, that is a great question. You know what? Screw it. I'll say yeah. Because I think he's instantly the best head coach in that division.
Took the bait and just went.
Yeah, you know what? I walked up to it. I looked at it.
Can't catch that son of a bitch. There you go. There you go.
Gave it a solid. Gave it a solid, look. Yeah. I think I'm gonna take it. Yeah. You know what? He's the best head coach in that division, bar none. There is zero debate about that. He is instantly the best head coach in that division. Mm-hmm. He is working with an extremely talented young core of players there. Got Giants fans obviously know, but most fans forgot. They lost Malik Neighbors this season. They lost a couple of Cam Scadaboo, a couple of other pieces this season. I think Harbaugh, he addresses that O-line, gets Dart a little bit more protection, turns him into a little bit more of a pocket QB. I'm not saying fully abandon his legs because they are a gift to him and you're going to want to use them. And I think I think Harbaugh coming from the Ravens and with Lamar Jackson, he has plenty of experience in how to handle a QB like that, how to coach him up and things like that. And I mean, this defense that he's going to have to work with is just absolutely fantastic. You got 4 first-round picks on that D-line, playmakers in the secondary, solid linebacking core, maybe, address that in free agency or things like that. I'm pretty sure the Giants do have a somewhat decent bit of money to spend this offseason. So they definitely can make, and to Mike Sarah's point, if the Giants stay healthy that next year, I mean, they already beat the Eagles this year. That is, the division winner. I feel like they have the team to compete with a lot of these other, teams in the NFC as a whole, and of course their own division.
Okay, good stuff. Well, I gave RG this question because he is the worst to first guru. Because since he's been on this network, every team that he's predicted to go to worst to first, he's been right. So I had to give him that one. Like Cap said, he took the bait. He's riding. So, mark it down. The January 27, 2026, he said the Giants will go worst to first. We'll see.
You know what? I think I'm going to put a honey on that in Vegas because of Mr. RG. I'll put some bank on that. And I'll do that. I would if it's based upon his track record.
Right.
Based upon his track record.
I like it. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, Dub, you're up next. So let's fly out to Denver real quick. Hopefully it's not snowing. It definitely was a couple of days ago. So let's talk about Bo Nix. Do you believe that Bo Nix is the right answer for Denver?
Yeah, I do. For a few different reasons. I think that his confidence, you can see his confidence getting higher and higher as he gets more experience, and then also as he gets more comfortable with the scheme as well. So that's half the battle right there, is quarterbacks understanding the scheme, getting chemistry with their guys. Of course, he has the ability to extend plays and use his feet. Doesn't necessarily have to be pretty. He reminds me of maybe even like a Baker Mayfield, type of thing where he can get the job done. He's a competitor. The guys respond to him, and that's really all you need. I don't know if you said it or somebody else said it, but if I were the Broncos, I would really surround them with a pretty solid run game. I'll focus on improving the run game this offseason. Of course, they got to stay healthy. But to answer your question, yes, I think Bo Nix is the right guy. You don't need a lot. You got a good defense. Surround him with some weapons and utilize his abilities.
Okay. Because I asked that question for twofold. I saw a take on, I think it was Twitter, that they said that, with Jared Stidham being in with Sean Payton for 3 years, the game will likely look a lot like, if Bo Nix was playing because, it doesn't necessarily matter exactly who his quarterback is. It's the system that drives the ability for them to move the football. So that was an interesting thing. So I thought I'd bring it up for that space. And getting to the point of Bo Nix being the future of the team, if you have to pay him at some point, in the next 3 to 4 years, then that roster gets different and the defense gets less, then, you don't have that crush to, hold you up in a sense, you kind of lean on that defense to be, stout for you, and you don't have to worry about putting up a lot of points. So that's why I thought it was an interesting topic.
Yeah, pay the man. Quarterbacks come at a premium. If you haven't learned anything from the Vikings, if you haven't learned anything from, some of the other teams around, pay the guy. Pay the guy. Everybody's not Peyton Manning, Tom Brady.
Where's the drop? Where's the Richard Pryor drop, Coach? Where's the drop? Pay the man. Pay the man.
Pay the man. Pay the man. Yeah, I forgot. My fault. I think I downloaded it, so I forgot to upload it. But yeah, I'll get it. I'll get a gap.
Better. I'm giving you these things, man. I'm giving you these things.
Cool Cavs doesn't like Nix apparently. He says he's the next Johnny Manziel. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not clapping on that one, Raider Way.
There you go.
I got you.
Okay. All right, Violator, you're up next. Let's talk about the Raiders here. Do you believe that the Raiders are waiting too long to hire a head coach?
Man, that's tough. I'm going to say no, because despite all of the stuff that we're hearing through social media and whatever, I think they already either have a gentleman's agreement in place already because of the rules of the game.
Right.
And I'm just praying on that I'm right on that. I think they know who they wanted the whole time, but they're bringing these other guys in to see how the chemistry would be in case Coach A had to work with Coach C or vice versa. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I'm saying I don't think they waited too long. I think they're exercising patience, which I haven't really seen over my years. Them
Never
this way. So never, yeah. So I'm kind of just sitting back, letting the chips fall where they fall, not getting too caught up in all of that because it's way above our pay grade. Anyway, what are you gonna do? Not support the team because it's not the head coach or the OC that you like? Come on, that's a business. So I don't think they have. I think they have a plan and a plan B if plan A don't work.
I like it. Okay, good stuff. Good stuff.
I'm going to interject real quick, only because I apologize, Coach. But if you listen to, I'm going to name drop him again. Where is it? You listen to Mr. Lester Hayes, okay? He's all about bringing, Grew, my man, Grew, my man. Yeah, that's good. And I said, no, Lester, I don't want to go Gruden 3.0, but he does love Gruden. But he says, and this is from Lester, and I agree with him, God forbid, and I'll talk about this in that statement I was talking about, I think the backup plan is Sean McDermott.
Oh.
Yeah, keep an eye for McDermott.
That's not a bad backup plan at all.
At all.
Yeah, and you haven't heard his name mentioned.
Right. And Lester loves Sean McDermott. So I name dropped Lester twice.
Yeah, well, if your primary date to the prom is Halle Berry, but Scarlett Johansson is in the tuck.
Hey,
hey, Coach, I need to get out of the building on a Halle Berry, Scarlett Johansson, man. That's my cue, boy. Woo! I'm out of here.
I'm gone. I'm gone. You're right. Good stuff. All right, Cap, you're up next. So let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles real quick. Do you believe?
Wait a second. I need to get my right hat on for this.
Okay, I'm waiting.
I'm sorry, I don't have an Eagles hat, but I do have a Philadelphia hat.
And that's why I gave it to you, because I know you're from Philly. That's why I gave this question
Thank
to
you, sir.
Do you believe that the Eagles do not go far in the playoffs in 2026, that everybody's fired?
Since they didn't go far this year or this upcoming year?
This upcoming year in 2026. If they don't go far in 2026.
Man, Coach, I love you. That is the easiest question in the world. If the Eagles don't get out of their own way and they are gone within round one, or if they don't even make the playoffs, which is one of those things that can happen because they've been building and building and building. And I have no clue really what happened to that team this year. They screwed up at the wrong times. They were a solid team. And then they got Sirianni'd in the end. Okay. And they got Petula'd in the end. They got all of the capabilities to be the best team in the East. And I'm going to give RG a little bit of flax on that. For worse, the first. I think the Giants are definitely going to be a playoff team next year based upon Harbaugh taking that team and getting those guys back with Dart, with Neighbors, with Scatterboo, and the things like that. I would say that the Eagles. I don't see, Kev. I think you're wrong, sir. Roseman is the architect of that team, and Sirianni is effing that up. I did catch myself on that one, Coach. I said effing it up. And if they don't aspire to even to the greatness, if they're one and done or don't even get into the dance, those boys are GON. They don't even need the E. They gone.
Gone. Okay. I'm with it. Okay. Good stuff. All right. That is it then. Way to bring it home, gentlemen. Way to bring it home. Love it. So that is our segment called Do You Believe? So now let's talk about season awards. The NFL Honors Awards ceremony is a little over a week away, right before the Super Bowl weekend. So we're going to name some new fresh faces in the realm of MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, just to name a few awards in that space. So we're going to go around the room. Every person has a assigned category, and they're going to tell us who they think their guy is for this award and why. So let's start with RG. And you kind of spilled the beans already, but but you have to give your true. But you have to quantify by saying why in this spec. So for you,
his answer is because I said so, and he is correct.
That's funny. So who is your MVP for 2025 and why?
I mean, let's be honest. It's really a two-man race at this point.
Oh yeah.
And if we're being even more honest, we know the media loves a good narrative. And so at the end of the day, if you're going to choose between the guy who's potentially going to retire within the next 3 years and a young up-and-comer who's barely in his second year, you're probably going to give it to the guy who's close to retirement because he deserves it. And for what it's worth, I think Matt Stafford truly does deserve this award. I think he was by far the best quarterback this year. And he does it all through the air. He's not really, I mean, not even not really. That's giving him some praise. He is not a running quarterback at all. He is one of the rare, last remaining old breed of statue pocket quarterbacks, but he does it the best because when you put that O-line in front of him and you give him outside weapons, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. You see how great that offense can be with him at the helm, and the resurgence that he has had post Detroit. I got you, Cal.
Thank you, man. Give that man a cookie. Yeah.
post Detroit. I mean, it's been a completely different Matthew Stafford, and I think that just goes to show you, how much a dysfunctional organization can truly hold back some of the greats. Because can you imagine what Matthew Stafford's career would have been had he not spent 2/3 of it in Detroit? I mean, just the possibilities, what you're seeing on the back, he's not even in his prime anymore. And what he's putting up, these numbers that he's putting up, and how he's able to lead this team. I mean, it's extraordinary, man. And that's why, to kind of connect my 2 points from the previous segment, I think that's why, as Rams fans, you're basically just you're with it until the wheels fall off. You're ride or die with Stafford and with McVay, and I think it's a hell of a team to ride or die with, because I would be ecstatic being able to watch this football unfold.
Indeed, I like it. I like it for sure. Yeah. It's clearly Drake Mays is, the other person in high, regard and running for this award. But I mean, we just had to put up the numbers, and to Dove's point earlier about how he had to go through the gauntlet of the NFC West. Just to have to go through that alone and put up the numbers he did. He had 52 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken.
Wait, Stafford?
Yeah.
I think he had 46, I think it was.
Yeah, even still.
Yeah.
46 touchdowns in the season. Yeah. And in that division with those defenses, yeah, that's a feat. So I definitely think he's the odds-on favorite to win it. And and people can question about Drake Mays, quarterbacks he faced, teams he had to face, straight the schedule, and all that good jazz. And then you have to say this too. It's a regular season award, but Drake Mays hadn't played good yet in the playoffs either. So that's something to watch, in that space too. So.
By the way, only 8 interceptions for Stafford this year. So that just goes to show you, for a guy who
8, that's crazy.
does nothing but throw the ball. Every team knows, and they do have Kyron Williams, so they do have a running effect. But as far as when Stafford drops back, there is zero doubt he is throwing the ball. I mean, the fact that he's able to do that at such a high clip and put up that high volume of numbers with that low interception mark, I mean, that's incredible, man.
And
Agreed.
none of those interceptions were thrown to the New York Jets. I can guarantee you that.
That's a good one.
Coach, I will up you. I don't think any team was able to have throw an interception against the Jets this year.
They tried, and it didn't work.
Did they? I couldn't tell.
Well, no, some people tried to give him a couple of gimmies.
Yes.
The Jets didn't take him. Yeah, that's funny. That is funny, Cap. Good stuff. All right. Let's talk Offensive Player of the Year now. Dub, so who is your Offensive Player of the Year and why?
I'll give a hint. He's in the NFC West.
That
narrows it down to me. That narrows it down to three people if you take out the quarterback, right?
Okay.
So 3 people.
Let's see. It's either Nakua or JSN.
Maybe not.
Okay.
Maybe not. I think it's another name, but go ahead.
I think it's Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh no!
Am I right?
It's not. Yeah, but no. It really, to me, it came down to McCaffrey, JSN, and Puka Nacua. And to be honest, specifically for Nacua and JSN, you can close your eyes and pick one, and it'll be okay. For me, I went with JSN for a few different reasons. Number one, he didn't have the threat of another number 2 receiver. So he had all the attention on him. He had a slightly inferior quarterback. You know what I mean? It didn't have the system that keep calling him Cup, but didn't have the system that Nakua had or anything like that. Not a bad system at all. But like I said, you can close your eyes and choose either one. But just to come on the scene the way that he did, it was just an amazing year from start to finish for him. Willed that team to the Super Bowl. It's going to be interesting to see what he does in the Super Bowl. And I mean, just some of the catches were just amazing catches. And the ability to get open, and it's not just getting open, it's a separation that he gets.
Oh
I mean,
man,
there are guys that like guys are not within 5 yards of him sometimes.
yeah,
And this is happening with, it's crazy. And this is happening with guys knowing that he's getting the ball.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like it's no if, ands, buts about it. You know he's getting the ball. Shout out to the Seahawks, like I mentioned earlier. They do a great job of scheming him open and scheming some of those things for him, but you just can't teach some of that route running ability. I think he has like definitely single digit drops. I want to say like I forgot what it was. I saw the number earlier. Maybe be like 3 or 4 drops this year, maybe even less, something like that. So, and for him, he's not a big guy, but his catch radius is just amazing. If you put the ball anywhere in his vicinity, he's going to snag it. So, like I said, you could have went with him. You could have went with Nakua. Of course, like I said, McCaffrey had another great year as well. And even on the AFC side, I was looking at, guys like Cook, had a great year with Buffalo, but none of those teams are in the playoffs. There's one team that made the playoffs. I mean, not the playoffs, the Super Bowl, and it's JSN who led his team there. So that's the one that I get the edge to.
Yeah, and you got to give credit to Seattle in another space because they were comfortable moving off DK Metcalf for the likes of JSN and be the number one, and they were right.
Yep. Yeah,
Boy, were they right.
Boy, were they
absolutely.
right.
Yeah, 100%.
That's that vision
100%.
again. That
There
vision.
you go. Talk about Violator. Talk about it. Okay, so we're going to go with you next, Violator. Let's talk about Defensive Player of the Year. So who was your Defensive Player of the Year and why?
This category, I got 2 guys. One's a young and upcoming guy, and this other one is a proven commodity. And he epitomizes what that DPOY award stands for. Constant relentlessness and chaos. And he's number 1 on every opponent's watch list. He's Myles Garrett.
He has to be. He has to
Myles
be.
Garrett.
Listen, you don't count Myles Garrett.
If Myles Garrett doesn't win this award, just wreck it all. Tear it all down.
Just stop having it.
Yeah, just call it something else from now on.
This guy, 23 sacks this season alone.
Right.
And like I say, on a team that still hasn't found itself. So, and it's almost an irony that he would get this award and his team is like going in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
I had visions of him being paired with Max, earlier, a couple of years ago when his contract came up.
Yeah.
But the price was too big to choke ourselves on, basically.
$40 million.
Yeah, that was just too much to take down. So, but like I say, kudos to this young man, and he's just growing. He's hasn't even peaked out yet, but he's just a relentless motor. He reminds me of the old school guys like your Young Bloods and just from KC, I'm drawing blanks. Thomas,
Derek
Thomas, those kind of guys. I mean, and everybody's scheming to really take care of him, take him out of the game, and that lets his other teammates eat. So for that reason, that's my nominee for that award. And hats off to the guy because it's a joy watching him play football.
Indeed. That's a good one too. Okay, Kevin Green. That's a good one too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Another motor.
Yeah. The fact that they, trying to scheme against him and they still doesn't have
no success.
Inkling of stopping him. That goes to Dub's point earlier about JSN and just being completely utterly open, despite the fact that they know he's going to either try to sack a quarterback or catch the football. You can't do nothing with him. That give me LT vibes. That give me Lawrence Taylor vibes. When you just know that you can't do nothing with him. Now you block him with 2, 3, 4 people, you still not gonna do anything with him. It's a problem. It's a problem.
What you try to do, coach, is minimize the damage.
Yes.
You want to minimize the damage.
Agreed.
You're gonna get some armor's gonna get chinked, but you just try to, minimize it. So
right. Don't let it go completely off the hinges. Yeah, don't let it completely off the hinges. There you go.
As an edge rusher, to me, he's one of those generational guys.
Oh yeah,
and like I say, to play on a team that's like comparing him to Max, that's going nowhere fast. It's almost a waste of his talent, and he's just such a high commodity that other teams really can't afford to just, hey, I'll trade you for him. It's the money gets in the way of him going someplace else, and I think he settled when he stayed in Cleveland.
I agree, and I would argue this because he's such a game changer that he can literally elevate, kind of like what they talked about Michael Parsons before he got hurt. He completely changes their defense. So a team that's in the running or can compete for a title, you put Miles Garrett on the team, he completely changes things. That go back to the Aaron Donald conversation. How Aaron Donald changed the fortune of the Rams. So one game record of a guy like Miles Garrett on a playoff team automatically elevates them to be a Super Bowl contender, guaranteed.
You were just mentioning the great LT. Now, even though he had all pro players and some Hall of Famers on his team, on his side of the ball, he was the one that everybody was watching.
Absolutely. Oh, 100%. 100%. Yes, indeed. And that Browns defense isn't no slouch. They got some good players over there, too.
Yeah, some good guys,
they got some good guys over there. So, yeah. And again, but your point of contention and your first point of your scouting report is say, we got to minimize Miles Garrett. That's your first thing. That is your first thing. That's for sure. Indeed. Okay, good stuff. All right, Cap, you're up next. We're going to talk Coach of the Year, and there's some good candidates in this one. This coaching cycle has definitely been good. You got Mike Vrabel, Ben Johnson, Leon.
But whatever. Okay. First off,
who's your
coach? It doesn't matter. Okay. First off, I want to make sure there is a special guest that I have to bring in here. So give me like 1 second.
Okay. This ought to be good.
There's yeah.
Now, how do you do?
Oh Lord.
Here it is.
My man, how you doing there, Coach? Young RG. My man, Coach Dub, who always drops that damn mic. That mic might have some more shit on because it's been dropped so many times. And then my man, later. Gotta say, this is a hell of a show. And I'm glad that Jack had a chance to give me some air time because Coach, you were talking about there's this guy and there's that guy and there's the other guy. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. There's only one guy that can be Coach of the Year. And I'm sorry to say that we had him on our team and we've damn fired him. He ain't on my team anymore. And that is Mr. Mike Vrabel, who went back to his kind of like going back to your alma mater, or I think that's what it's called, the alma mater. It's that damn place where you came from. And it's funny because he actually started out in Pittsburgh with Cowher. I was like, damn, that boy got some lineage on him coming out of Ohio State and plays for Bill Cowher. And I heard that Cowher said, well, we can pay you, but we can't really pay you what you're worth. And I heard that, and I said, that's the man. He goes to New England, and he gets all them damn rings. He gets all them damn rings, and they're just going to try it. Now, here's my point. He's going to try to build on it. And I tell you, it's the character. There's another word for it, character. That brought in that locker room, and it's the thing where they got those damn bottles clicking like that damn movie from the 70s. Warriors come out to play, yay. By the way, that was ad-lib. I'm telling you, look it up. It was ad-lib that Daniel Patrick Kelly did with the bottles and the Warriors come out to play.
I heard that.
But it's stuff like that. You bring that attitude in on a locker room. Those boys won 4 games last year.
Yeah, they did.
4 games. That place was putrid, kind of like the outhouse out back. Come on, no takers on the outhouse out back. Come on,
I'm not touching that. I'm not.
I know you should be touching that because you need to get like a one of those suits to talk about the outhouse back.
Sanitizer suits, yeah.
Get a Sandy suit. And maybe even a nuclear biological suit. I've dropped some bombs back there myself. Anyway, the thing is, 4 games, and then Mike Vrabel, God bless his soul, comes in, and with the help of the GM, they paid a lot of money for people that were just kind of cast aside. I know the Raiders got rid of a few of them. Guy by the name of Caleb on Chason. and Mickey Spillane. I know it ain't Mickey Spillane, but I like to call him Mickey Spillane because that's kind of like his name. And there was another guy. I think there was another D-back. Violator, what was that? There was another guy that came over from the Raiders that came up to the Patriots. Some other dude. Anyway, it doesn't matter because it was Mike Vrabel with Drew May or Roger May, who played guitar for those Queen guys. But the thing is, and God, I hate saying this. I hate saying, you're going to hear the words out of my mouth, and I'm going to go wash myself with Lavar's. Mike Vrabel with some mofo by the name of Josh McDaniels takes that team and makes them champions.
Yeah.
Coach of the year of the 4 and whatever last year, and the team that kicked ass and took names, winning in the AFC Championship when they'd gone 0-4 earlier because Sean Payton shit the bed. Stupid. Coach of the year, like I said, Coach, I say name. Mike Vrabel of my Tennessee Titans. That's why I had to come on, and I'm glad the captain had the audacity. He called me up, and I was pinching a loaf out in that outhouse I was telling you about, and I had my cell phone on, and I said I will come on the show. So I got to go now. I gotta go make some more moonshine. I'm going to try to get that little girl down the street. She is 18, by the way.
Whoa.
I don't want to hear nothing about no underage things. She's 18. I know because I know her mom because anyway. But I'm just going to say Mike Vrabel, Coach of the year. Coach, I got to go. I'm going to get Jack back in here, but thank you for letting me have some time, sir.
We appreciate you, sir. We appreciate you.
Take care, Tex.
Okay.
Whiskey Jack.
Indeed. Good stuff. Stuff. All right, so round out the awards real quick before we get to our last segment of the day. Comeback Player of the Year. Now, this is an interesting one because there's some hot names on here. The likes of Christian McCaffrey coming back from his Achilles injury, Trevor Lawrence, his resurgence from last season from last year, Aiden Hutchinson coming back from a broken leg, Dak Prescott coming back from his hamstring injury, and Stephon Diggs just being the resilient guy that he is. But based upon this list and based upon the production in this entirety, I got to give it to Christian McCaffrey because Christian McCaffrey was literally milked dry. You know, they got every bit of production they could out of him because he does not have anybody else on that offensive side of the ball to lean on. Like, Juwan Jennings was in our lineup. Ricky Pearsall was hurt in the entirety of the year. George Kittle was hurt early and late in the season. Never seen Brandon Ayuk, in the entirety of the whole season. So I definitely got to give, I believe he had what do you have? 1,000? We had 1,000 receiving yards and 1,000 rushing yards throughout the season. I mean, that's unheard of. I think he had 100 catches as a running back receiver. So yeah, I got to give it to Christian McCaffrey because I was concerned. The amount of usage he got, I was almost guaranteed he was going to get hurt. He made it the entire the season, didn't miss a game. And I believe that you got to give him comeback player of the year, coming from an Achilles injury to literally, being the whole offense for the Niners. I got to give it to Christian McCaffrey from my space. So yeah,
Kyle Shanahan sacrificed his entire defense to keep Christian McCaffrey healthy this year.
That must be weird. He must have did that. He got the voodoo doll out of the bones. He did something to cast a spell to keep Christian McCaffrey happy.
The NFL gods were like, another, and he's like, shit. All right, who's next? Right. Bosa, you're out.
Fred Warner, you're out. George Kittle, you're out.
Speaking of McCaffrey, he reminds me of one of the guys who plays with a huge chip on his shoulder, just because he was probably slighted as he came up and even being drafted, but he got the genes from his dad. I hated his dad when he played with the Broncos.
Ed McCaffrey, yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, my God. But the guy just was a football player. Point blank. And so that kid epitomizes that. Talking about toughness, gritty, and his talented.
Oh, yeah.
Every team is looking for them a McCaffrey. Trust me.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely that for sure. I mean, again, and his brother Luka, I think he's going to be all right for the Commanders as well.
Yeah.
He was solid before he got hurt.
Yeah, agreed. So, yeah. Christian McCaffrey had 311 rushing attempts, 1,200 yards, 10 rushing touchdowns, 102 receptions he actually had 900 yards receiving. He didn't get 1,000, but he had 900 yards receiving and 7 receiving touchdowns for a total of 17. He had a total of 2,126 yards from scrimmage. Yeah. Just go ahead and get that to him. Hang it up. Yeah.
I found it funny that as you were going through the names, everybody you named came back from an injury except for Trevor Lawrence, who just came back from bad play.
Right.
And even
right.
That was funny.
Like,
yeah.
I can hear it in your voice. You're like, such and such came back from the Trevor Lawrence just came back from. He just came back from.
He just came
being
back.
bad. Yeah, it just came
Whatever
back.
it was in 2024, whatever that was.
Even at the beginning of the season, like he came back literally during the season. You know,
He did,
so.
right. Yeah, for sure. Indeed. All
You
right.
guys know what this sets up for next year, though, right?
What's that?
Joe Burrow's in line for that third comeback player of the year. He's going to add to his trophy case.
Yeah, that's a good one. Because he definitely was banged up this year, and it was rough in Cincy for sure.
If he just stays healthy, he will win it next year. Guarantee it.
Good point. And the numbers they put up, it's gonna be hard to argue that. That's for
yeah.
sure. That's for sure. Okay, good stuff.
You don't think Burrow might want to change the scenery?
Well, listen, let's get right in the hot takes. That's a good one. Let's get right in the hot takes. Let's do it. Let's talk about it. Let's ride every way, but let's talk about it. I'm with you about it. Talk to me. Talk to me.
I'm just saying, man. The guy's been banged up. He's not sure whether that organization is in the business for what do you call it, entertainment purposes, or being potential playoff contention teams on a yearly basis. And they're really not putting the pieces around him because they've overpaid for a couple of pieces that's kind of keeping them hand tied. And I don't want to say that they're cheap, but they're right there.
They are cheap.
They are cheap. Go ahead and say it. Cheap.
As it gets.
Yeah, they're Al Bundy cheap.
They recycle toilet paper. Come on, man.
They pay rent in their own stadium because they're too afraid to commit.
Yes,
that's
yes,
crazy. That's crazy.
I'm just wondering. He might want to change his scenery. Nothing's come out, but it's been a few whispers that he might want to change the scenery.
Respectfully, as cheap as the Bengals have been, they're like, and I'm sorry, I'm saying this, I'm prefacing it, we're approaching the 2-hour mark. Fuck you. We gave you Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Kick rocks. You can retire for all we care.
Wow. So you say they're not dealing?
Hell no, they're not dealing. Hell no.
That's funny.
Wow.
Good stuff. Okay.
Stuck in purgatory.
Indeed. All right, cool. All right, so that is Violet's hot take for our fourth and final segment. So are there any other hot takes going around the room before we wrap this show up here? Let's talk about it, Cap.
It was kind of leaked, kind of like something. Well, I didn't do any farts tonight, so can't say it was leaked like that. But you might smell that one over there, up there in Virginia or whatever. Actually, that would take you both out, you and the coach, 2 coaches in one part. Anyway, just roll with it. Just roll with it. Anyway, the leakage is this, okay? If you don't think that Kyle which Kubiak am I talking about? It's Clint, right?
Clint.
Thank you. I have Clint's and Kyle's and a bunch of damn the KKK that is good for you, the Kubiaks, okay? If you don't think that Clint Kubiak is getting an earful from his father, the Denver Bronco, that sat with John Elway, so he's got that Denver lineage stuff. And I'm trying to remember, who was the head coach of Denver for so many years?
Mike
Shanahan. So the bile and hatred of Mike Shanahan going with his father, Gary Kubiak, talking stuff. And I'm sure Shanahan's younger son that coaches for the Niners is all, and it's all that he is getting spoon-fed hate, bile, and vitriol. And when you have somebody like Peyton to fire his OC just to pick up Davis Webb to be their OC, well, Gary. Well, Gary's a GK, but still he has the KKs underneath him. But anyway, that is a lot of crapola, vitriol, bile, hatred, abhorrence. I'm running out of adjectives here that he is getting. Okay. The hot take will be if he wants to have the head coaching job, he's going to do it in spite of that. But that's a lot of flack. That's a lot of flack that he's going to be hearing. I can connect the dots. I just connected the dots for you. So if he takes the job, it's because the job of the Raiders, it's because he wants the job in spite of all of that stuff. And I've already said the backup plan would probably be Sean McDermott.
Yeah, it's not a bad move.
Break the mold. Because that hatred is real. That's real. In our circle, that's real. That goes back years and years.
Yeah. There's some things that you don't forget, I guess you say.
Oh yeah,
people don't forget. That's for sure.
And if it's going to come down to Tom Brady and John Spytek saying, "Hey, Mark, go to PF Chang's for about the next 3 days. Let us
handle this. Okay, I got it. I'm with it. Good stuff.
That's my hot take because I know it's happening.
Okay, good stuff.
And it's hot too.
Yeah. So we'll see in the next couple of weeks how it shakes out because you can't technically do anything with them until the Super Bowl is over.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why Violator is saying if they're waiting, it's because they have a gentleman's agreement. Now the ultimate, I got to say this, Coach. I've been waiting. I haven't said one all the time. The ultimate fuck you would be if they had that agreement. And then he goes and pulls a Josh McDaniels and says, Right.
Send you a fax and say I'm good. Yeah, I got that. Or Ben Johnson did it to the Commanders, I think. Didn't he, Dub? Didn't he get on the plane, private plane, on the way and decided to turn around and go back?
Yeah.
Liam Cohen did it to the.
Liam Cohen did it to the Bucs, so it's passe. People are doing it now. And they're getting away with it, and it's not affecting anybody.
Okay, good stuff. All right, so Dub, RG, y'all got any hot takes?
I shared my hot take earlier. Tua doesn't play another snap in the NFL.
You did. That was a good one. Okay, appreciate you reiterating that for those who are just tuning in.
Yeah, just in case you missed it.
Good, indeed. Okay, Dub, you got anything before I go with mine? Before we get
I don't got anything.
Okay, good stuff. All right, so. We've seen Sean McDermott get fired. We've seen the now hiring of Joe Brady in-house. Now, the funny thing about this whole conversation is the fact that Pagula got on the mic with him and Brandon Beam, who he gave a promotion to, when everybody points the finger at him as being the crux of the problem. But you clearly have shown, or you took the veil off and really obviously showed the dysfunction going on in Buffalo, right? So you clearly have also made me realize that Sean McDermott was covering up for a lot of that. Now he's gone. So regardless of how comfortable Josh Allen feels with Joe Brady and whoever he brings in as his DC and whatever they do with the roster for going forward, Brandon Beane is still there. Pagula still owns the team. So unfortunately for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, their Super Bowl window is closed, and it closed faster than butt cheeks and cold water.
Okay.
It's over.
I would talk about shrinkage, but I'll go with that one too.
The cold water did it. You do the cold water, yeah.
You do your own analysis past that, but yes, the Super Bowl window for the Buffalo Bills is now closed. Edge a shot, it's over.
Yep.
All right, Josh, it's over.
There had to be, in that big three, and obviously two have yet to win it, and then the big three being Mahomes, Allen, and Lamar.
Yeah.
It was almost for certain that one of those guys, and it potentially might be two. We'll see, Olo, with the new coach there as well.
Mm-hmm.
One of these guys had to be the one that went ringless, and as sad as it seems, it probably was going to be Josh.
Yeah. So I think it's done. And going back to the idea of how they've been ran over the course of the 90s to 2000s and now, there's a lot of dysfunction there. they've been winning despite all of that in a lot of spaces with having Josh Allen and going all the way back to Jim Kelly and the 4 Super Bowls they went to and lost. It's a lot. It's a lot of dysfunction there, and they haven't corrected it at all. And I think that they're going to ultimately squander the generational talent they have at quarterback.
Is this the same ownership group from the 90s?
That's a good question. Turbigal looks pretty old, so he might have been there that long.
It looked like he's been around. I was going to add too with that. Now they're getting that new stadium built.
Yeah.
And every time you get a new stadium built, there's an increase in PSLs and ticket prices.
Yeah.
And the Mafia is already putting up the double digits to them on that. They've lost a lot of the good blue collar, folks that are of the Mafia. They're like, man, you want me to spend a bunch of money, and it's been descending. And with Coach saying that McDermott was hiding, or actually, I don't want to say hiding, he was good in the fact that he was keeping all that in the back. You don't know, you don't see this.
Definitely masking it. Yeah, for sure. So to round out this point out, Ralph Wilson had the team from 59 to 2014. He passed.
Yeah.
So Terry and Kim Pagula purchased it in 2014 when Ralph Wilson died. So he's had the team for 10 years. Practically. He's had the team for 10 years practically. For most of Josh Allen's career, ironically, he landed Josh Allen in late 2010s, and yes, it's getting rough. It's getting rough. So we'll see how things go. But yeah, and to answer your question earlier, RG, Les Snead is a GM for the Rams. Is a GM.
Nailed it.
Yep. There you go. All right, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, gentlemen. So any final words before we get out of here, do our outro?
It's the last game of the season, gentlemen. We ought to revel in it because we're about to enter the dry season of no football.
Yeah, for sure. At least for playing football. Now the offseason is going to be fire. It's going to be gangbusters.
Oh yeah,
it's going to be some stuff to talk about. Trust me.
Absolutely. It's going to be nothing short of content, but it just won't be football being played. That's the only thing that's going to be different.
Oh yeah,
only thing going to be different. But yeah. So so the quick line, if you've been watching the scroll throughout the entirety of the program, we started a new Patreon page. The Hit Squad and myself are going to be dropping content on that particular platform regularly. We're taking this business independent. We create our own independent platform where we can do and have more control over our content and our space and have more autonomy over that. So we did create a Patreon page this week. It did go live on Monday. So if you are inclined to get involved with our exclusive content over there, I dropped a video today on Kevin Stefanski and how he left Cleveland and went to Atlanta, and there's some funny business going on there, so check that out. For the first week, for the first trial, we're going to let everybody have a free run at it to see what you're getting. But please drop a subscription on that if you are inclined to do so. It is patreon.com/Lockdown Divas Sports. So we'll be running content on there unilaterally with YouTube as well. So we're not leaving YouTube at all, but we will be running more exclusive and more hard-hitting and gritty content on Patreon. So check it out. It's going to be good stuff. It's going to be good stuff. So if you're looking for the Hit Squad any fast, any place, any time, Alex, Mike Dub, and RG, Commanders, Chiefs, and Chargers insiders, please hit them up on our social media platforms if you have any questions for their teams or the Lockdown Divas Sports Network in its entirety. If you're looking for the NFL Election Live crew, Ref Guru, Violator, and Cap Jack Rackham are all on Twitter or X, however you want to classify it. And Cap Jack is on Instagram and YouTube as well, so drop them a line there if you're looking for any Raiders news. If you're looking for the Lockdown Divas Sports Network any space, any time, here's our social media platforms. We're pretty much all popular platforms, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube. Please drop a subscription on the YouTube channel as well to let YouTube algorithm know we're doing big things out here. And if you're looking for our subsidiary channels, the Electric Shock Podcast is available to you for all LA Chargers news. For Chargers fans or anybody that wants to keep up with the team, please drop us a line there. We're on all platforms as well. Electric Shock Pod is the handle. Drop us a sub on there as well so you can get in tune and get locked in with that particular content because we're going to do our off-season schedule, so that should be good there as well. So that's going to do it for us. Gentlemen, another great show. We're missing Alex this week. His baby didn't allow him to be great this week, so we hopefully we'll get him back next week and get him back in the fold. But another great show as always, and we'll keep this thing rolling, and we'll do our Super Bowl preview next week. Is our ceremony's last show of the regular season live that we're going to get into for the season. So it's going to be a good one as well. So
can't wait to advertise. Yes, sir. Can't wait to advertise Foxtrot for you next year.
Okay, good stuff. We got a little ways to wait though. We got to wait till like August. We got to wait till
August. But it's nice, that I can, the man who can't stand Foxtrot, but I will go to bat for you, Coach.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That's my guy. That's my guy. We got a super chat here, real quick, Cap, before we get out of here. I want to drop that line. I don't want to overlook it.
Far, thank you there, sir. Much appreciated. Thank you for that. Hey, every $5 is what's it? Every $5 is sacred. I'm going to do Monty Python without saying what the $5 is every four. Yeah.
You know, we'll say what it's for. Good stuff.
Look it up. Everything. It's sacred. Every $5.
Indeed.
There you go.
Indeed. But we appreciate your support as always, man. Like I said, we'll be back next week, Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Standard Time, right here on this network to drop another heavy-hitting rendition of the Lockdown Blitz. So, for me, Coach Defense, that is Young RG, Robert Garcia, that is Coach Mike Dub, that is Captain Jack Rackham, and that is Violated Man, the myth, the legend himself. And we'll see you next week. But until then, you got to do one thing and one thing well. You got to step up to lock it down.